Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Continuing our Depthcember run, we are now running a very spicy mono red Dark Depths deck. Yep, that's right, mono red. I did play a very similar build to this last year and we went 4-1, so there's definitely something here. So the combo we're trying to leverage is either Dark Depths plus this Thespian stage, which we can find with our expedition maps here, which is reasonable, but the main combo we're trying to leverage is playing Blood Moon, Blood Sun, or Magus of the Moon, and then sacrificing it using Telim'Tor's Edict. Now this is a card that you may not have seen before. Single red mana, instant, exile target permanent you own or control. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. So this just allows us to sacrifice one of these. So what we do is we play a Moon effect, then we play our Dark Depths. It comes in with no counters. In our opponent's end step, we blow up our own Blood Moon, and then we get to do the whole Dark Depths thing and win the game. We also have a new card, Betrayer's Bargain. So this is 2 mana, as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature or enchantment, or pay 2. So we want to sacrifice a creature or an enchantment. And then we get to deal 5 damage to target creature. If a creature would die this turn, exile it instead. So we only have 2 of these because we might not find targets for it as often as we'd like. But it's a nice piece of removal that also synergizes what we're doing. It's an instant, so we can do it on our opponent's end step. Pretty cool. But when we're not able to do the Dark Depths thing, we are doing the whole Karn the Great Creator and just prison pieces. So we can stack up some Blood Moons and hopefully ruin our opponent's day with those. We've got a full suite of Soul Lands here, along with Chrome Moxes and Simian Spirit Guides. So making a Blood Moon on turn 1 is something we're looking to do as often as possible. And then we play Karn, and then we can lock our opponents out with stuff like Ensnaring Bridge, Coating, and Lattice, the usuals. We've also got a few spicier bullets in here. So Claws of Gix. 0 mana, pay 1 mana, sacrifice a permanent, you gain 1 life. So this gives us a route to sacrificing our things if we need to make the 2020. We've also got some Graveyard Hate here, a Pithing Needle for Wasteland, because that can be an issue. If we set up the Blood Moon and they just have a Wasteland untapped, then they can just Wasteland our Dark Depths with a trigger on the stack when it happens. So we have a Sorcerous Spyglass to stop that, as well as 2 Sundering Eruptions. These can blow up the Wasteland whilst it's still just a mountain, and then we get to untap and do our thing. Or whatever. So that's kind of the plan we're going for there. We've got a Cursed Totem in here for all of the delightful Nadu decks, which I suspect are going to be pretty good after the bannings, possibly the best deck in the format. If I had to stake my reputation, I would say Cephalid Breakfast looks like, to me, in position to become the best deck. But I could be wrong, but I think that deck looks real good right now. No Vexing Baubles to stop its Dread Returns either. Anyway, that aside, we've also got a Wondering if we need to draw some cards, a Walking Ballista so we can win the game through our own Ensnaring Bridge if we need to. And then we've got some cards we're going to be boarding in. So we have the Trinisphere, a couple more Furies, and some Dead and Gone. So we've got some different bits of interaction or suppressing our opponent's ability to play the game. And that is the deck. I think one thing I should also mention here is we have Kazuul's Fury. Now this is an enter the battlefield tapped double face card, so not the best. However, as additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature, it deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. So if our opponent's got something like a Caracas, and then we blow up our Magus of the Moon or our Blood Moon or whatever, and then we get our 2020, they can try and bounce it, but we just get to Kazuul's Fury and dome them for 20, and this is an instant, so we can kind of do it at our leisure. So that's the reason for this being in here. Is also a red card to pitch to Chrome Mox. The other land we need to talk about here is Sokenzan. So last time I played this deck, I found there were a few problem cards in it that I needed to swap out. So sometimes we were drawing these expedition maps and not really being able to do anything with them once we're underneath the Blood Moon and we've already got the Dark Depths. So the Sokenzan is just something we can find that allows us to contribute things to the board and maybe get a bit more action going that way. This can also give us tokens to then target with our Betrayer's Bargain so that we can do our whole combo. So there's been a reasonable amount of thought gone into updating this one. Last time we played it, I think it had Terror of the Peaks in, which the idea is you make your 2020 and you dome your opponent. That's all well and good, but it never really lined up very well for us. So we've made some changes, and hopefully it's going to be a little bit better than last time. Although last time we were playing for a trophy, so maybe those expectations are a touch too high, especially given the power of Legacy has gone up quite a bit since then. We've got some snow-covered mountains, so we can play on basics quite nicely. And, you know, it's Christmas. Let's have some snow. And that, lovely people out there, is the deck tech for this absolute monstrosity. I highly recommend going back and watching the video of this from last year. I will link it in the description. It was an absolute blast and a really fun league. Might have been one of the best ones I played last Depthcember. It was really fun. So definitely check that out. And while you're here, remember to like and subscribe. Subscribing doesn't cost you anything, and it does help the channel out quite a bit. It means you don't miss any of my content. And if you want to see my content before everyone else, you can become a YouTube member for just £1 a month. And that will get you access to my videos early. And there's going to be a lot going up early as I'm trying to block record so I can actually have a few days off around Christmas. All right. All that accounting over and done with, let's get to making some sweet, sweet mono-red depths action. So our first hand here doesn't make a Blood Moon until turn 2, and we don't really have much else going on, so we're going to mulligan this. We don't actually have a Blood Moon. That's a little bit unusual. What are we doing here? We can spam a couple of expedition maps, and we can go on turn 3 just to make 2020. That's like reasonable. I guess I'll keep that and bin off one of these cities. We are more looking to do the Blood Moon stuff and then do the other bits and pieces afterwards. That's very much how the deck is set up to function. I will play out both expedition maps here. Our opponent didn't play anything on turn 1, which suggests to me they're playing something more lands related than any sort of like cradle control style deck list. So we can fire off a Betrayer's Bargain next turn if that's something we have to do, because we can pitch this Simian Spirit Guide to get us the extra mana we need if we're going to hardcast it. Once upon a time, could be an Eldrazi deck. They quite often don't have turn 1 plays, and they usually play one. Okay, so we're looking more like a Cloud Post-ish style deck. A Crop Rotation. So this is going to give our opponent access to 4 mana this turn. Alright, but we are well on our way with Blood Moons. Karn, the Great Creator. Oh no! Oh dear, oh dear. Should have mulliganed to Blood Moon, I guess. Probably just auto-win if we had a Blood Moon on turn 2 here. So maybe we should have kept that first hand. But I don't think we can keep a hand that didn't have any action. Like this one does make a 2020. Alright, so they have a Mycosynth Lattice over there. A Sokenzan. So we can attack down the Karn if we wanted to, or we could just make a Simian Spirit Guide. I think we have to do something. This does not hit Planeswalkers, unfortunately. I was thinking about one of the bargain spells instead in this slot. But the bargain spell doesn't let you kill your own Magus of the Moon by bargaining. So I figured this would be slightly better. But maybe it isn't. We'll find out. So we could play the Simian Spirit Guide, or we could channel the Sokenzan and just start going in at this Karn. And just immediately stop them from making additional... Yeah, we can stop them from making additional tutors here. Because these have haste. This also gives us something to pressure the Karn. So I have 2 bodies that can finish the Karn off. So they can't just play... They can't just tap out and play the Lattice. I think that works out best for us. I think there is a bargain spell for 1 red mana that's a shock that upgrades to a Lightning Bolt with Scry 1 if you bargain it for just 1 mana. That is another option we could have played instead of this Betrayer's Bargain. Right, let's see what our opponent's up to. Sowing Mycospawn. Okay, they're going to tutor for a land here. They don't have enough to kick that and really ruin our day. They've got an Urza's Tower. Yep. You can see the One Ring here. Okay, so they can activate the Karn targeting the One Ring and have an indestructible guy and then draw a card. I think that's probably what I would do in this situation. Okay, we have a reasonable exchange this turn. Okay, I do like the Magus here, but I think that is a plan for later on. I think we just need to deal with this Karn right now. Get out of here. I suspect our opponent has never seen that card before, because until I started doing the Scryfall search, I had never seen this card before. Okay, so the Karn is down. We can shove down our Magus next turn. And then we're kind of in place to start doing some stuff. We can go and get another Sokenzan and beat our opponent down if that's where we need to be. I think this is the real clutch turn. If our opponent doesn't do anything too scary, then we're okay. So our opponent is representing a bunch of mana which can cast a Kozilek's Command here. We could just make a 20... No, we can't quite make a 20/20, right? So 2 mana to crack this. We get Dark Depths and play it when 1 mana shy. Okay, let's attack and see if we can rustle something up from our opponent here. Okay, they didn't go for it. I will play this mountain out. Let's get a little Magus in there. So they're going for a Kozilek's Command just to make loads of guys. Okay, so they're floating. They could have made... So they're opting to kill our Magus and unlock all their mana. That makes sense. It's a little unfortunate for us. Yep. Okay, so made some more mana. So we could be seeing something as scary as an Emrakul this turn, perhaps. So this attacks for 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So with a single land, they could hardcast an Emrakul here. And they have lands that tap for a lot more than 1 mana as well. I think we're in a reasonable spot just in this matchup in general, but our hand didn't line up very well for this particular game. And our opponent obviously gets to play some sideboard action in the other games. Glimmer Post. You can gain some life, opponent. Offset that one ring activation. 11 mana, 12 mana, 13 mana, 14 mana. So this could be a big Kozilek's command. Or it could just be the Squiddly Diddly itself. That is the game. Okay, so if we just kept that initial hand, we would have been alright. But we didn't know that at the time. What do we want from this pile of cards? Like, a lot of this is just the Karn board, really. Nothing here is really jumping out on me as being particularly useful. Which isn't really where I want to be, is it? I think our main deck should just be really good in this matchup, and it just didn't line up that way this time around. Okay, let's just go back in. We've got a little bit of removal for their guys if we need to. Fury can hit Karn. Maybe we're supposed to have more Furies to deal with Karn. Yeah, I can believe that. Let's just play the Furies here over the Betrayer's Bargain. Okay, turn 1 Blood Moon. We'll keep this. So our opponent probably has access to Force of Vigor, which is now a playable Magic card because they banned Vexing Bauble. Hello, Modo. You working for us? Okay, it's going to work this time. So we don't want to play out the second one because our opponent can just Force of Vigor it. They don't have a huge amount of green cards, though. I think I'll play this out. It can give them a second Force of Vigor target. Caracas is a pretty important one for us to deal with later on. They have the Force of Vigor. They don't have the green card to pitch to it, like I suggested might be a problem. I think I'm going to name Caracas here. We could name Caracas or we could name the One Ring, but we've got the Karn to shut that off. Now, Force of Vigor will pick both of these up. But our opponent needs a green card before they even get to play the game. They probably got, what, crop rotations, other Force of Vigors, and not much else, really. Kazuul's Fury, you say? Alright, let's get that down. We don't have enough mana to cast the Karn yet. I don't want to play out a second Blood Moon, because if they Force of Vigor, they get one turn of unlocked mana, and then we crack in with another Blood Moon. Now, if we draw a third Blood Moon effect, by all means, we can smash that one in there. Would love to draw a land here. We did draw a land. Good, good, good. What do we actually want here? It's probably the coating. I think that makes the most sense. Although I am kind of down for this One Ring. We'll go for the One Ring. It is the objectively most powerful card in our sideboard, I would say. I think it's quite a bananas Magic the Gathering card. So we knew what our opponent drew that turn. Play the One Ring first. We can also use Telim'Tor's Edict to blow this up if we need to. A Blood Sun. Okay, so the plan is next turn use the One Ring to draw into Mycosynth Lattice and just win the game. Because the Lattice will completely lock our opponent out. So we'll need to have a green spell to pitch to blow up our Blood Moon to have any hope. Actually, they won't have any hope if we do that. They do have some mystery cards in hand. Okay, we found a mana source. I'll play this one out. Let's minus the Karn. Let's go and get Mycosynth Lattice here. Alright, we got the scoop there. Our opponent's probably doing very similar things to us with their Karn, but we got to do it first. And we do have these massive haymakers of the Blood Moon. So our opponent had the Force of Vigor in their hand the entire game, but they just couldn't cast it because they don't have enough green cards. And Sowing Mycospawn, it does a lot of things, but it is devoid, which is sometimes a bonus and sometimes a problem. And thankfully for us, it was a problem for them this time. But they are on the play this time, which means they could do something like a turn 2 Karn or One Ring, because playing a Nexus is some nonsense of the Magic cards. The things that enables are pretty good. It's on my list of things to be watching over the next year in terms of what could be banned. I don't think it needs to be banned now at all, but it's definitely something that should be kept tabs on. This is a turn 2 Blood Moon. Is that quick enough when we can make turn 1 Blood Moons really easily? I think we can mulligan for a turn 1. Oh dear, that's a pretty stinky hand, isn't it? Alright, let's mulligan again. No Blood Moon here. Nothing. Yikes, we should have kept that first one. They've mulliganed to 4 cards. Okay, I'll keep this one. We got some various moons. I think the Blood Moons are better most of the time than the Magus, because the Magus gets killed by a Dismember, which is accessible regardless of what their mana looks like. So we're both on 4 cards. So I'm probably keeping these 4. It could be double Blood Moon rather than the Magus. The other option here is to keep the Chrome Mox and just power out a Blood Moon. But our opponent's mulliganed aggressively, presumably to find an answer. So I think it's better for us to have multiple moon effects, even if they're a touch slower. So we have to choose between the Magus and the Blood Moon. This gets caught by a Force of Vigor hitting both, but we've already seen that's difficult. This gets killed by Dismember. I guess we're going to try and force them to have both answers because they have mulligan so aggressively. So our opponent could just go turn 2 One Ring and then start snowballing this game. Right. We have a lot of soul lands in our deck to draw. Well, we've got 8 of them and Chrome Mox and Simian Spirit Guide. All of them allow us to get a Blood Moon down. The One Ring. Yep, that's a magic card that's going to allow them to draw out of whatever we do. Unless we can stick the Karn. And then it gives us a win condition. A soul land. That's what we wanted to see. Right, we're down with a Blood Moon. So this can eventually draw them into Force of Vigor and green card. But next time we play the Magus, and that's 2 different things we've got going on. And then we can just do Karn, lock down the One Ring so they can stop drawing cards. So Simian Spirit Guide for the One Ring would be good here. That's not what we drew. Slam down Magus. This is answerable via the Dismember, as we mentioned before. And hopefully we can draw a land and just jam a Karn, turn off this One Ring, and then work our way towards like Liquimetal Coating and just start sniping away our opponent's lands until we have enough mana. I guess we just get the One Ring of our own, couldn't we? Good plays are good, I guess. Okay, they've exiled an Elvish Spirit Guide here. Feels like they're going to get... Oh, they're Besageing here. Sure, I'll get a beautiful little snow-covered mountain. 3 mana. Is this going to be a little mini Kozilek's command? Or have they got some card I've never seen before that's about to blow me out? Just a little mini Kozilek's command. This gives them a colourless pip that they can use for stuff. They scribe that card to the bottom. Next turn we get the Karn. That should be very good for us. The only problem is our opponent gets to completely undo their mulligan now, because this is going to be the 6th card they've drawn off the One Ring. I don't believe our opponent attacks with this spawn. I don't think our opponent blocks with this spawn. I think we can just attack here. Pressure our opponent's life while they're underneath the One Ring. So one thing we have to consider here is our opponent could play a Karn. But if they had a Karn, they would have played it last turn. So they could have played a Karn. They can play a Karn and activate on the One Ring and bash our Karn down. So I think that means we're supposed to... I think we are supposed to minus this still. Just go get our own One Ring here. As sad as that is. So now we've got a nice little clock ticking in. We can even just use the One Ring after we've drawn a little bit of cards with it. We can just use it as a way of bashing for 4. Okay, our opponent is playing another copy of the One Ring, so this is just going to cancel out the life loss from the other one. And give them protection for a turn. Sure. That's acceptable. All our lands are effectively the same, so we're just going to play the One Ring out first. We will activate it. Telim'Tor's Edict. That's not the one we wanted, was it? I'll play this one out. I will plus the Karn. No targets. And then we have the option of doing what we did before, where we find a land off the Karn, off the One Ring, and then we just deploy the Lattice. So we're representing pretty much the exact same kill as Game 2. I think our deck is pretty solid into this matchup, and we were a bit unfortunate in Game 1. But, you know, you don't keep your hand knowing what your opponent is a lot of the time. This is the turn you have to do something, opponent. If they have something like a Spirit Guide, they might be able to deploy a Mycosynth Spawn, which would help a lot. They could go and... I don't know if they have any basics aside from one forest, and that might not be enough to actually make a difference. I know we have the Lattice in the sideboard because we showed it to them last game. Okay, let's minus. And we just get the Lattice. They would have to have double Spirit Guide here to hardcast the Force of Vigor by floating the mana. Or can they just float this and use it as any colour? I don't know. Alright. We managed to get things going there. Well, we're playing them like all the Blood Moons, so we're always going to be good into these sorts of decks. But we're on the board. Let's go to round 2. Turn 1 Blood Moon on the play. Like, that just wins a chunk of games on its own. I think we lead off on the Ancient Tomb, so that we have a shot of doing it a turn after without losing our City of Traitors. Devourer of Destiny. Okay, so we might just have the turn 1 win effectively here. How do you like them apples, opponent? Yeah, you fire off that Once Upon a Time. I don't think they have to fire it off now. I think they can wait till their turn and get 1 card deeper, but... Oh, they found the Wastes. Not too shabby there. Now, they're not going to be able to generate lots of mana, so their Eye of Ugin will be shut off, their Eldrazi Temple will be shut off. They can still play their spells because of this waste, they're just going to be playing them a lot slower. Mox Diamond, you don't see that every day. Out of the old Eldrazi's. We're actually going to see them play something to the board this turn. This can kind of undo the slowing effect to a degree. Alright, opponent, if you want to blow up my Blood Moon, you're going to get Dark Depths. And if we find something like a Telim'Tor's Edict or our little bargaining card, we can just go ham with this, but otherwise we can just keep suppressing our opponent. A Wasteland, okay. So they have to tap out for a spell before we can Telim'Tor's Edict. But we would need them to tap out anyway because they run Kozilek's Command in their deck. Waste Escape Battle Mage. This is... Okay, they're blowing up our... I thought they were going after our Blood Moon and just hooking us right up then. Sure. Another Blood Moon. Alright, I will play a Magus of the Moon. So they can cast things like Sown Mycospawn, which maybe finds them another basic if they have one, just like a Forest. Felt like they were going to Kozilek's Command and then realised they didn't have the right mana. Let's get this Magus down and just keep trucking. So if they just want to attack us and just keep exchanging damage, we do win that race until our opponent gets to deploy other spells. This is not a spell they can deploy with the configuration of their deck, I believe. Right, we'll attack with both of our friends. Let me just deploy another one. All the Magus of the Moons. We're just playing Grey Ogre Beatdown. But what a Grey Ogre. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're getting close to casting something like a Null Drifter. What is this? Chalice of the Void, X equals 3. Sure, they've had enough of our nonsense. Understood. Okay, Sundering Eruption here is actually pretty good. Because this means if they kill all of our things, that's pretty good. Or we could just take out this waste, which is probably what we should do. I doubt they have another one. Oh, this gets countered, doesn't it? Whoops. What am I doing? I'm so loose. My brain registered the Chalice of the Void on 3 and was like, no, you don't need that information. Could have had a land there. So now they can cast Null Drifter, if they have one. Click Sown Mycospawn is on the cards. That's pretty solid. Boom, Sokenzan. This is why I added these Sokenzans to the deck after last year. Boom, we can get our opponent next turn. Just need them to not be able to play any spells, which is kind of what we've been hoping to do this whole game. Yeah, eat it. Even though we did play as a Chalice one time. So, what looks good here? Ways of killing our opponent's creatures is not the worst. I'm not opposed to having some Furies. Blood Sun, this isn't really where we want to be in this matchup. It will stop the Eye of Ugin, but won't stop the other stuff. So I think we just swap those out for Furies. And that looks good to me. Like, we could have some Dead Gone just so we can kill the Glaring Flesh Raker. That is an option, but what would we cut for them is the problem. Sorcerous Spyglass we kind of need. Karn is like one of our main weaknesses. I don't think we can fit these in. I just don't think we have the space. And I think the Fury is just better because it can hit more things. And if we get into like a fair matchup where we just suppress the game with a Blood Moon, we can just start dropping Furies and cleaning anything they have out. Turn 1, we play Blood Moon. That is what we want to do every game. What is our turn 2 looking like? Turn 2 Karn. That's pretty good. A Wasteland. Are they going to play something out on turn 1? No. They're planning on Wastelanding us here. I think that's acceptable. That takes our opponent further away from casting spells if they decide to Wasteland us in response. I don't know if they will. I think this is a desperate play. Because the problem with doing that is it takes you further away from just having mana. And they do have some like big spells in their deck that they might just be able to cast with a bunch of mana in play. Now, obviously, I don't know their hand, so I can't be 100% sure there. So we don't have enough mana to do anything too exciting here, do we? We could play this and the Chrome Mox. That doesn't really get us where we need to be. We could play the Kazuul's Fury tapped, but then we may never get this Chrome Mox off the ground. So I don't like that. I think I just want the Thespian stage here. And then next turn, land and this. I'm just going to play the Thespian stage. It's not quite the way we want to do it. But this can go under the Fury can go under the Chrome Mox. And we can play on Magus of the Moon next turn and just keep them shut down over there. Because they might have Dismembers. Or Wastegate Battle Mages or whatever. So having both types of Moon effect is going to be handy. They are saving up for a Sown Mycospawn over there. I don't believe our opponent can run Force of Vigor in their deck that is very, very colourless. It is the Wastegate Battle Mage is the disruption of choice that they have. Quite the pause in our upkeep here. Okay, I think we play the Sokenzan. We deploy the Chrome Mox, pitching the Kazuul's Fury here. And then we get the Magus down. Which does expose us to a really good kicked Wastegate Battle Mage, but they need a lot of mana and coloured mana to do that. Our opponent tries to blow up this Chrome Mox in response, then it's not the end of the world, because we can just play some Expedition Map goodness. So the plan here is draw a land and do Karn stuff, otherwise we'll go an Expedition Map and get ourselves a Dark Depths, because it's just a mountain underneath these circumstances, and that means if they ever do get out of our lock, then they have to deal with a massive creature. Alright, this is the same Mycosynth. Oh no, it's the One Ring. Okay, oh this is good for us. They get one card out of it, and then hopefully we can Karn them. I'd love to draw the Karn right now. Sorry, the land for the Karn. Come on, land. Yeah. Oh, and it's the Dark Depths as well. Beautiful stuff. I think we just get the One Ring and just do the plans we've been doing before. The whole Karn into One Ring into Lattice is a pretty solid play pattern. So this just cantripped, and now is going to deal them 1 damage every turn. Right. We've drawn a Fury. We're going to play this One Ring. Start going to town with it. An interesting one there. Let's attack. And plus there's no targets. And we'll carry on. So we can kill a creature with our Betrayer's Bargain if we want to. We could also just Betrayer's Bargain, blow up our Magus and kill them. So if they tap out, that's something we can think of doing. A Thought-Knot Seer. Okay, they'd probably take the Fury here. But we get to sit behind an Ensnaring Bridge if we want. Oh no, sorry, we had the One Ring protection. Sorry, they didn't get to take anything. Even better. Let's draw some cards. We could draw mana and a bit of fast mana. Okay, so we can take out their only colourless source here. I think that is well worth doing here. Do you have a basic? They might have a forest. They might have nothing. They did have a forest. Okay. So we have a choice here, don't we? We could just Fury this away. We probably should just get rid of the Betrayer's Bargain. Take our free card from the Thought-Knot Seer. It was a land. Okay, happy to see that one. We will minus this. Yes, we'll go and get the Liquimetal Coating. We'll deploy the Coating. This will freeze our opponent's land in their upkeep, so they don't get any green spells. So this can't be activated because of our Karn. And then we just suppress our opponent. Now, if they have a crop rotation, they can use it if they want. Okay, Once Upon a Time. It's a green spell. Sowing Mycospawn. That is never getting cast, because we're just going to strip out this forest. And then next turn we can Mycosynth Lattice them. If you're unfamiliar with this combo, this becomes an artifact, and then we target it with +1 on Karn, and then it becomes a creature that has power and toughness 0, and then dies as to state-based effects. Let's draw some cards from the One Ring. Sure, bunch of stuff here. Go attacks. And then we can deploy our Thespian stage. Sorry, not our Thespian stage, our Expedition Map. I don't think we need this Fury to ping anything right now. What we can do with the Fury is use it to blow up a creature if we have to spend all our mana doing a Lattice, so we can blow up their creature, then Lattice if they manage to put anything into play here. I don't believe that they will. Surprise Gut Shot when we minus our Karn. The One Ring. Sure, so this is just going to reset their existing One Ring. It's not actually going to help them. And then we just Lattice lock them this turn. And that is lights out. We're not going to die to our own One Ring, because eventually we'll draw into Telim'Tor's Edict. And we just can turn it into a creature and kill our opponent. Let's crack this. Let's get Sokenzan. Love a little Sokenzan. We could try and do something funny here, but we're just gonna lock our opponent out of this game. As is tradition. We don't need to activate or do anything at this point. We can animate the Mycosynth Lattice, and we crack in for 8 next turn, and then we can Kazuul's Fury if we want to. You can't pay costs. You're under Lattice. The only thing you can do under Lattice is exile Spirit Guides. That's pretty much it. And that can give you the mana, which maybe lets you cast something. So we can't pitch anything to Fury. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can just cast Fury and fling it afterwards. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we do have to animate the Lattice here. Crash. Alright, our opponent's given it up. Yeah, 2-0. Deck is great. Let's go to round 3. This hand looks like it does something, but it is far too slow. We're going to send this one back. This is... Again, it's pretty slow. I think we can do better. That's a weird looking hand because of this City of Traitors is not our friend, is it? Our opponent is mulligan to 5. Alright, we're going to go lower. 4 cards. So, what do we have here? This is a turn 2 Karn if we draw a red spell. That's pretty good. So, we definitely get rid of this and this. We want to play a land on turn 1, so I think it is the Fury that goes, and we just try and draw a red spell for a turn 2 Karn, if Magic Online would like to catch up with this mulligan situation we're in. Our opponent is mulliganed aggressively to 5, so it's likely that Karn is going to do some work against them. It's not a given, but it's more likely that they're playing something that is going to be using various artifacty type stuff. As a general rule, those decks tend to mulligan lower because they're looking for a specific spread of things instead of just, oh, here's some lands and spells, and we can ponder brainstorm our way into the future. Let's just hope that our Karn the Great Creator on turn 2, if we can land it, will be good enough. A Tundra? Oh, no. And a Ponder? What? Maybe they just were really unfortunate and had to mulligan to 5. But if our Karn sticks, we are golden. Because Karn is a pretty powerful Magic the Gathering card against these sorts of control decks because they can't really answer it. Like Prismatic Ending is not happening anytime soon. Obviously Plows and stuff just do nothing to it. They can try and counter what comes out of it, which could be something like a One Ring, or it could be the Liquimetal Coating and we just start stripping our opponent's resources when they're already low on resources. Alternatively here, we could just draw a Blood Moon and just play a Blood Moon when our opponent has a non-basic in play. And certainly appears to not be a red deck. That might be Jeskai, to be fair. Let's see what we draw. Okay, so we drew the worst of all worlds, which is just a land. So we just play a Snow-Covered Mountain and pass, and then we have to try and wait till next turn to get anything done. But we had like 8 Blood Moons and any red card. So the amount of draws we had that were good that turn were huge. Okay, so we're probably looking at Cephalid Breakfast, which would explain the mulligan because they are a combo deck. But if we can find ourselves a Blood Moon here, we just blow up this Saga and stop them playing any mana. That's not what we found. We did find a Karn the Great Creator, which is a pretty good Magic the Gathering card as it turns out. Do you have a Daze? I hope not. Okay, it's a Force of Will, so we're stripping 2 cards from them, but we're not in a great spot right now. So we need to find a Blood Moon, or a Thespian Stage is reasonable, but I have a feeling that our opponent is mulliganed into a position where it might be possible that they kill us when this Urza Saga pops and they get their Shuko. They pitched a Brainstorm to the Force of Will. It is possible they're another deck, but the chances of them being Cephalid Breakfast, especially when Cephalid Breakfast is, in my opinion, the most likely candidate to be best deck right now. I think that's what we should be expecting. Okay, so that's the Tropical Island for the Nadu. Blood Moon effect's going to be very good in this matchup. Okay, so probably just going to make a construct here, but it might be holding open some interaction in the meantime. What are you going to draw, deck? An Expedition map. Okay, I will play this Expedition map. I will crack this Expedition map. Do we have any funky lands that help us here? The answer to that is no. We have a Thespian Stage. We will play our Thespian Stage. We will lose our City of Traitors, but next time we get a 2020, if our opponent's just trying to win with fair constructs, then we can beat that. If they've got a Plow tucked away, then they can obviously beat what we're doing, or at least buy a lot more turns in this game for them to find their combo. Yeah, just making a little friend. So if they have Shuko and Nadu here, then they just get to basically draw their deck, and we lose. If they make a construct, I would be happier here. Okay, they're floating mana. That's a terrible sign for us. Good old Nadu that somehow didn't get banned. Yikes. I do think we might be alright in this matchup, though. Like, Blood Moon's... Look at our opponent's deck here. The Blood Moon is going to be absolutely savage against them. And even if we force them to fetch basics, that's a horrible thing for our opponent to have to do in terms of casting their spells. Just equip the Shuko and attack. Do that. Don't worry about what we're doing, opponent. Just, Okay, so this is not a Nadu. Oh, so it's a Teferi. Okay, we beat the Teferi with the Dark Depths, but they might have had the combo, but we're just playing it more cautiously and just getting their shields up. So this is going to be a Cavern Wizard. We're going to get bashed for 3 here off of the construct with the Shuko. Little ninja construct coming in. Shatterskull Smashing. Okay, opponent, were they just sandbagging the win and wanting to have the interaction, or were they just playing Teferi because it's a good card? And they didn't actually have the Nadu payoff. So the fact that we've shown them Dark Depths and Thespian Stage means they probably won't expect the Blood Moons in game 2 and 3. Cephalid Illusionist. So this does just win them the game, because they can just re-equip. They can equip it with the Shuko over and over and over and over again until we are dead. Well, until they mill their library. I could have a look at their deck. I suppose I should, but I'm pretty sure I know what it's going to be. Alright, we'll just F6 here. Let's see if there's anything interesting going on. Our opponent's 4-card hand was pretty solid here. Obviously, you know, we don't know what they drew and what they kept, but going... Sorry, they went to 5, didn't they? But they went to 5 and they ended up doing a nice curve of turn 3 Teferi, turn 4 comboing off. Pretty solid. Having a look at their list, it looks pretty stock to me. I'm curious about their ending to swords numbers, because maybe people are going up on swords now that Psychic Frog... sorry, maybe people are going up on prismatic endings now that Psychic Frog is gone and more people are going to be playing Tamiyo. Yeah, so they can just combo us out and win the game here. I just wanted to see their list. But I think we're in an okay-ish spot. So I think the Dead and Gones are a useful bit of instant speed interaction. Trinisphere can shut down our opponent's combo pretty comprehensively as well. So we've got this selection of stuff I'm interested in. I don't think we need the Furies here. Instant speed removal is just better. Sorcerous Spyglass is useful here. A whole bunch of stuff. Trying to resolve these Karns is going to be pretty good because it shuts down half their combo. Maybe we're trimming on our own combo slightly. That is a thing that we're allowed to do. Blood Sun stops as a Saga, so that's probably worth keeping in. Sorcerous Spyglass is okay here as well. We could just board out a Telim'Tor's Edict and maybe like an Expedition map. Or we could board out Dark Depths instead of an Expedition map. Because Dark Depths are weird for us, because they kind of are lands. But at the same point, they're not, because we have to have a Blood Moon in play for them to be a mana source. I think we can probably get away with boarding one out. If we're bringing the Trinisphere, maybe we shouldn't do that. Alright, I've convinced myself to keep this other Dark Depths in, instead of the Expedition map. I think it's pretty marginal either way. This hand does not do anything. This hand does something on turn 2. And something on turn 3. Sounds like a reasonable place to be. Keep this, we'll bet on 1 Sokenzan. So we can go turn 1, hold up dead. Turn 2, play the Magus or the Blood Moon. Like I said, our opponent is less likely to expect Blood Moons, given what they've seen. But they might know what we're up to, potentially. It is pretty niche, though. Okay, a Hedge Maze. You're going to mill over a Naka, you get that free sweet value? No. Go Gadget Blood Moon. Okay, we got Force of Will. Pitching Force of Will. Okay, so that means they're a lot less likely to have a Force of Will for the next one. And if they had a Daze, they would have fired it off there instead, I would imagine. Instead of pitching 2 cards. So we will jam this next one into a Daze, then play our land afterwards. They have a Nomads and Core, sure. And a Shuko. So they have both halves. So we need to deal with our opponent's mana, I think, here. A Dark Depths, sure. Let's get this Magus in. And we have the Dead and Gone for this Nomads. If they just go Island, Cephalid Illusionist, then that's pretty annoying for us. Just vaporize that little guy. So if they plow our Magus, we get a 20/20. So they're going to plow it, they're probably going to do it in our turn. Like after we've attacked. Do I want to Sokenzan or do I just want to hold up Dead Gone? I think I want to hold up Dead Gone just in case they find the island here. We can always Sokenzan in our opponent's end step. We could also, if they tap this white source for something, we could always just bounce our own Magus. Oh, no, it's a target creature you don't control. So we have to dead it if we want to get the 20/20. But it might be worth doing, we'll see. Our opponent doesn't have white mana, but they can fetch white mana off of this, so we need them to tap both of these lands. Or 3 of these lands. If not, we'll just Sokenzan and double our clock. Here comes the boys. Alright, they're just scooping it up. Sokenzan too good. Okay. I guess we just Keep on rolling. We've just got lots of scary things to drop on turn 1. So we got 8 Blood Moon effects and the 2 Trinisphere. The Blood Suns are okay sometimes. Like, it can just kill off a Saga. What does this hand do? This makes a turn 1 Trinisphere. That is pretty strong against what our opponent's doing. It doesn't have any follow-up, though. But we have a lot of cards on our deck we can draw to utilise. We've got Thespian Stage. I think we will keep this. We could come unstuck. If we find a different red card, I wouldn't mind keeping hold of this removal spell against a creature-based combo deck. We do have the Cursed Totem we can fish out with our Karn at some point, which can shut down the Nomad's side of that deck. A Blood Sun. I don't think it's the Blood Sun we're playing now. I'm going to play this Ancient Tomb. I'll play this Chrome Mox. What are we imprinting here? So, Betrayer's Bargain is just a useful card. The Blood Sun does cantrip. I think I want to keep the bargain. My Magic Online is taking a minute. This is a tough call. This does shut down a bunch of stuff our opponent can have. And cantrips. Tough call. I think we're going to keep the bargain. I'm not sure if this spell is going to resolve, but let's find out. So worst case scenario, they have a 1-for-1. Okay. So we got 2-for-1. We took a Nadu out of their hand. It was him to Turak. That's acceptable. And now we have this removal spell that is going to be switched on. We're going to see a Ponder or a Brainstorm, I suspect. There is a Brainstorm. This Misty Rainforest is probably going to get a basic, but they might not have that luxury, actually. They might have to go and get a Tundra here. If they need their white mana. Yeah. This opens them up to Blood Moons. Prismatic Ending, sure. Can we just Blood Moon them? No. I will play this. We can't actually use this turn. So I'm going to play this Thespian Stage out in case we draw the Dark Depths next turn. Then we at least have that option. Although even then we're probably just playing the Betrayer's Bargain. Because our opponent can just, for 3 mana, deploy Nomads, Cephalid Illusionist, and then we lose. They left the card on top. That doesn't bode amazingly well for us. Sokenzan. Okay. Let's just hold up this bargain. Then we got the bargain and the Sokenzan. We've got a little bit of interaction. And then we've also got a threat at instant speed to follow up with if we don't have to use our removal. You're going to play a stinky little Nadu, or you got something else planned? Cephalid Illusionist. Yeah, it's an annoying guy. They're going to play the Nomads now. Play a card our opponent's never seen before. Is the last card in your hand Daze? Or do we get to keep playing Magic the Gathering? Alright, we get to keep playing Magic the Gathering. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand. So we want to use this Sokenzan to ambush our opponent in combat. Just clear this game object off with half a card. Now, if the last card in their hand is just another Cephalid or a Nadu, then yeah, we lose. So they're definitely going to come in here. They're not going to respect the Sokenzan. Look at this. Look at the disrespect they're showing to our beautiful little Sokenzan. Actually, we don't need to use that land, do we? We can save ourselves some life here. Boom, Sokenzan. How'd you like them apples? Look at that. A removal spell that gives me a 1-1 instant speed in red. Beautiful. Oh, they're ploughing it. We should have double blocked. Yeah, we should have double blocked there. Thinking about it. There's no reason not to in that situation. Alright, I guess we hold this back. We could Telim'Tor's Edict on this City of Traitors, though. Just float some mana. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Now, this is a card our opponent has definitely never seen before. I can feel their eyes burning into this card as they're reading it. Like, what is this clown doing? This will copy this. And am I playing out the City of Traitors? I don't think there's any point. Just hold this guy back. I really wish we double blocked last turn. We've just made things really hard for ourselves for no reason there. Ancient Tomb. That's not what we wanted. Tundra. Blood Moon's still looking real good. Karn the Great Creator. That guy is really great at creating stuff, isn't he? So what could they have in hand? It could be a Consigned Memory, but we're not. We're always jamming here. So we 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes to this. We go and get a Cursed Totem. That's really good here, actually. That just shuts our opponent down. The The coating does a very similar thing though. I think the totem is better. Like the coating allows us to start blowing up their stuff, but that's a really difficult thing to do when our opponent still can threaten the combo. I'm going to get the totem. So what the totem does is stops them activating the nomads, and the Karn stops them activating Shuko, so they can't combo with this current setup. Yeah, we got the match against what I think is the best deck in the format. We are rolling 3-0 so far. This deck is beautiful, and I hope you're having a great time, because you know what? I'm having a blast. Last time we played this, we were one match away from the trophy. Let's see how we do this time. What does this hand do? We do turn 1, Expedition Map, Puppet for... This is just kind of like a naked Dark Depths. I think we can do better. We want to just be turn 1 Blood Mooning people. I said turn 1. This is turn 2. Am I mulliganing this? Is turn 2 Blood Moon good enough? It's pretty good. Alright, I'm going to keep it. We get 2 bites of the cherry here, so I'm going to keep both Sokenzans and pitch one of the City of Traitors. Because if things go wrong for us, like if they waste out our Sokenzan, we at least have another red source. And if they counter our first moon, then we have a second moon. Maybe this is the game where we get to Telim'Tor's Edict somebody. Mountain. Grindstone. Okay, so we're on Painter. So our Blood Moon effects aren't great. They will shut down their sagas, which is something. Okay, so next time we can play the Dark Depths, and then all we need is a Telim'Tor's Edict or our little thing that blows stuff up, or a Fury. This would be a great turn to draw a Fury and just kill this dead. What are they going to find? A Painter's Servant. Not a surprise. So we need something right now that's good. Another Magus. Is that good? It's something. We'll attack. So if they have any fast mana, they can win this turn. Do I want to let the cat out of the bag with this Dark Depths? I don't think I do. I think I want to keep it on the lowdown. Does it matter? What do they have that actually answers the Dark Depths? Yeah, we just play it out. We could play out the Magus here, but we kind of need to race our opponent. If they have fast mana here, they can activate this for 3, use the fast mana to then turn it into a Painter's Servant and kill us. So they need a Simian Spirit Guide or a Lotus Petal type effect. Goblin Welder. Okay, that's pretty good. Fury, please. Fury will do some wondrous work here. A Simian Spirit Guide. So we are just dead on board. Because what they do is they activate this for 3 and then they welder it into the guy. Ugh, not so great. But we get to board in all of these things. And Blood Sun is just better than Blood Moon against our opponent, so it's probably Blood Moons we're taking out. It's pretty good. I don't think we need Trinisphere here. Our opponent's relatively tricksy around it. I just think board in a bunch of removal, kill their guys, do the thing. Karn is obviously excellent in this matchup. We're losing basically all the game 1s today, but we are powering through. This is a turn 3 Karn. I don't think we can keep this. We need to execute some sort of plan of our own. This is no good, really. Like, we're trying to... Maybe we should have kept that first one, just removal into a Karn, and would have been okay. Maybe we're just getting greedy. Is this where we come unstuck today? We're going to mulligan this one. Okay, we can cook with this. Okay, 2 cards have got to go. So we're probably getting rid of the Magus. Magus is much easier for us to kill, though. But this cantrips, and we've already mulliganed. That's a tough one. I think we'll probably get rid of this and 1 Sundering Eruption. So if we find a red card, we can deploy the Blood Sun on turn 2. Maybe we get to take an Urza Saga with it. Oh, there we go. Grindstone, sure. Can we draw a red card? Or a land. A red card or a land. That's a huge amount of our deck. We've drawn a land. Boom. Oh, look at this. This is a tasty meatball. So next time we can play a Karn and just start blowing up their lands. And they're going to really hate that one. Kazuul's Fury. That's an interesting one. So we probably play the Mox here. And I think I'm imprinting the Sundering Eruption. Right, so we're going to deploy this Karn and we're going to start blowing up their Great Furnaces. And our opponent's going to have a miserable time. We can go and get Claws of Gix if we want to. But our opponent's permanents don't work. We just have a lethal kill here with our little friend here. So we play this out. We minus this. Go and get Claws of Gix. Play Claws of Gix. Fling the Marit Lage at our opponent. Beautiful. Absolutely exquisite. Let's just see if we can draw a big removal hand and dumpster our opponent that way instead. Oh, that felt so good. Alright. I have an absolute blast playing this deck. Really do. So we have some removal we can fire off. We're pretty close to a turn 2 Karn. I'm going to believe in this. Like, Karn is so devastating for our opponent. Urza Saga into my Blood Moon deck. A bold choice. A Shatterskull Smashing. I think we play this tapped. And the plan is to play a Karn next turn and maybe blow something up. Get something going. A mountain. A Painter's Servant. Sure. So they are representing a turn 2 kill. Sorry, a turn 3 kill here. Okay, I'm going to pitch this Fury. I'm going to play this Fury pitching this Telim'Tor's Edict. Because if they have a red blast, we don't want to get caught by that. Okay, so now we can play this. And we can imprint the Kazuul's Fury. Play this. Get our Karn going. And I will minus the Karn here. And I will get a copy of the One Ring. Seems like a good place to be. We can also get the Cursed Totem if our opponent spams some Welder creatures. Alright, so this is just going to be float mana. Do something. So they get a Pithing Needle and just shut off our Karn. But we've already got the One Ring here. And Karn just being on the battlefield is really good. Okay, they've gone for the Grindstone. So they can play Painter here. Pyroglyph. That's going to dome our Karn here. That's pretty strong. So we've got this Blood Sun. I don't think we want to do that. I think we just want to play out the One Ring here. This means they can't Grindstone us. Now they can put all the stuff in play and do some work that way. What we can do next turn is we can get the Karn. We can get the Tormod's Crypt. Remove their graveyard. Fury this away because this will only be a creature planeswalker. Creature, planeswalker, and artifact. So it'll be a 3/4. So the Fury will kill it. And we can put the damage on it and then exile stuff with the Tormod's Crypt. Now they could Grindstone themselves in response. But if we do it the right way around, they don't have an option to do that actually. So we have to put the damage on them, then we exile it, and then once our Tormod's Crypt resolves, state base will be checked in a way that they can't respond, and then it'll die. We got a plan. Obviously we don't want to see Painter's Servant here. The One Ring. Okay, that's a pretty good one. But we're about to shut this off with a Karn. Alright. We don't get to Tormod's Crypt them if we do that though. That is... Can we Tormod's Crypt ourselves? So they just have 2 things in graveyard then. We can Tormod's Crypt ourselves and then kill this. This is a really good line. Okay. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. We minus this. We go and get Tormod's Crypt. We Fury, pitching a Magus of the Moon here. We put 4 damage on this. Play the Tormod's Crypt. We exile our graveyard. Wait, what? Why is this a 4/5? Enchantment, land, artifact, creature. Oh my god. What am I doing? That was a massive spew. Oh my god. I thought we had like the sickest line and I've just absolutely punted this entire game. I forgot to count the enchantment on the Urza Saga. Wait. Artifact, creature, enchantment, land. Yeah, 4/5, yeah. Oh, shucks. Yeah. That was pretty bad. Now if our opponent has a Painter's Servant, they just win this turn, I think. We lose our Karn, which was doing everything for us. Ugh. I'm so sorry, everyone. We could have just played the Fury out and that would have been reasonable. I think we did have to do something with the Karn, though. We can just Tormod's Crypt them. No, we didn't actually... I don't know what the line is to get rid of the Pyroglyph. Shrapnel Schlinger. You made a sacrifice a creature when you do destroy tile an opponent controls. Are they going to sacrifice the creature? It can sacrifice itself. Sure. So they're going to blow up our Chrome Mox here. Ugh. Okay, Telim'Tor's Edict maybe helps us out here. We still got the One Ring cooking. Oh, what am I doing? I'm so mad at myself. Alright, One Ring. Be good to me. It's not great to me, is it? So we can blow up there as a saga. That's not a problem. Do we want to do it with a cantrip, or do we want to do it in a way that makes our Dark Depths more worth it? I think we want to do it this way, because then if our creature dies... No, wait. If our opponent... No, we have to Blood Sun here, because we need to cantrip into removal spell for this welder, otherwise we die. We did not hit the removal spell for the welder. Alright. Yikes. Because if we still had the Fury, because we hadn't just blown it for no reason, we could kill this welder. I believe our opponent will see the line. We need to do something really tempting so our opponent does something else. We could draw a Fury here if we play Ancient Tomb here. And then we Chrome Mox, imprint the Magus of the Moon, play the Blood Sun. We can't draw double red cards though. We can only draw the Fury, and that's not going to be enough. But maybe we can make something tempting and dissuade our opponent from doing Goblin Welder stuff. If we play this out and just sit on it, will our opponent combo into it? What is the bluff here? I think we just have to bluff something and hope that our opponent does something to this Chrome Mox. Oh my god, that's such a horrible punt. I thought I was spinning my brain in unseen levels of great play just to then absolutely ruin myself. Painted Servant from hand. Grindstone is blue. We are getting milled out. That is the game. Oh dear, oh dear. So let's have a little think back. What could we have done differently? So if we don't play out that Karn, we are at risk of just getting like hit with a Grindstone combo. Now we don't know if our opponent just had it right there and then, or they need to draw some more cards. That is a tricky one. Like if we just play the Fury out there, it can block and trade with the Pyrogoyf, but then isn't killing anything. If we don't play the Karn, what are we playing instead? Blood Moon effect and a Dark Depths I think we had available. Maybe that's slightly better. But then if our opponent can just attack into our Karn and we have to block with our Magus, then we get the 2020. Yeah, maybe that is the line. Yikes. Really upset about that one, but it's only myself to blame. I got too excited and lost in the sauce. And because I'm having such a great time with this deck, I got really, really excited and just went for it instead of thinking through the lines, because at the end of the day, I'm making entertainment here. And this isn't like a tournament where I'm going to spend all my time checking every precise detail as much as I necessarily should do, because I'm trying to make it fun for you people, but I wish I'd have made it slightly less fun for that brief second and just thought about it. But I just got too excited and worked up. Do love this game. All right, let's go to the final round. We've got a positive record locked in. Maybe we can get the 4-1 we got last year. Let's see if we can put that on the board. All right, I've had a moment to calm myself. This hand is no good. I can work that one out. Let's mulligan. This is a turn 1 Blood Moon effect. Count me in. I don't think we need double Telim'Tor's Edict. Polluted Delta. Now, unfortunately, our opponent gets to see what we're doing and then fetch a basic here. I think we're still shoving here, though. So we could see an island into a Daze. We could see an island into Swamp Cycle with their Troll of Khazad-dûm. Just the island and nothing else. Okay. A Flooded Strand. Snapcaster Mage is a thing that maybe comes in and they trade the Snapcaster. I don't think it's worth trading this for a Snapcaster. Dress Down. So this doesn't work on Blood Moon creatures because of layers. So our opponent's probably on Dreadnought. They could be on the Esper build, or they could be on the straight up blue-white build. There's a possibility they're on the blue-black build, but I doubt it. Null Drifter. Yep, that's a big customer right there. Yeah, the difference between play and draw in this game is pretty huge. Can we draw into... Sundering Eruption, the one we wanted there, was it? Okay, we play this out. If we blow this up, then they get something else. Yeah, this is a little bit annoying. I think we have to lose a land here. Yep, you can annihilate my Ancient Tomb. So we're looking for a Dark Depth. And then we can Telim'Tor's Edict our Magus of the Moon, or just let the Magus of the Moon die to annihilate a trigger if we want to. But then they can just fetch a bunch of white stuff. But I guess they can do that anyway. Awkward. Another Magus of the Moon. That is actually an okay draw here. I think I'll play this Sundering Eruption as a Volcanic Fissure. I'll play another creature. I'm not worried about Snapcaster Mage anymore. Their instant speed stuff is probably going to be things like the Doorkeeper Thrall. So what we could do here is let one Magus of the Moon die, and that gives us 2 permanents in a Sokenzan that we can maybe sacrifice down the line if we find another land. We can obviously use this Kazuul's Fury. I don't really want to use the Fury, because the plan for the Kazuul's Fury is to make a 20/20, and then if they try and remove it, we can fling it, and then they have to have a counter spell as well as a removal spell to get through that. But if we were on the play here and we could just do our Magus of the Moon stuff, that would have been real good. A Wasteland. That's pretty annoying for our plan, truth be told. Chrome Mox. Now, we're not beating this at the moment. We do have Furies in our deck, so we need to keep those as a live draw. Let's play this out. Now they have the Wasteland, I don't really want to go into the Telim'Tor's Edict plan. We still might want a Kazuul's Fury to get the final points of damage over, or use this to play our Fury. Stifle. That's a little bit rude. Okay, I think we have to sacrifice a land, which means we're going to be pitching our Kazuul's Fury to... our Kazuul's Fury to a Fury. So Kazuul's Fury. So what do we lose here? It's probably the Volcanic Fissure. I don't think we can afford to unlock all their mana here. Fury. Karn, the Great Creator that we could cast. We play the Karn, we minus the Karn. Sorry, we plus the... Yeah, we minus the Karn. Okay. You got a counter spell over there? You got 7 cards in hand. It's certainly possible. This is our last card in hand, so there's no reason they wouldn't go for it here. They could have a main deck consigned to memory here. Just a daze. So I think that's the game there. Let's go to the sideboard. So we don't have any red blasts here, which would be nice. So the Dead Gons are going to be pretty good. We can just bounce Phyrexian Dreadnought. That's quite tasty. Furies, I quite like the Trinispheres here, though, because our opponent's trying to play a selection of cheeky little spells in one go. So I think we're looking at... Blood Sun doesn't seem the best here. So we'll trade out the Blood Suns. That gets us some Trinispheres. What do we want to do with these Dead Gons? We definitely want them in, but where do we fit them? We could just replace the Furies. But the Furies is a nice way of winning the game. Like, it's a thing that we can have that actually does stuff. Maybe we'll trim a Telim'Tor's, because it's not actually removal. Do I want to trim a Dark Depths? Or we could trim an Expedition map just to keep the Fury. And I don't think we want the extra Furies, but I wouldn't mind having 2 in. And then we can just try and Trinisphere or Blood Moon our opponents on the play. This does not do anything. What does this do for us? Not much. Okay, I will keep this hand. How many? So we get to keep. We have to get rid of 2 cards. So we want Simian Spirit Guide, Ancient Tomb, Blood Moon. We also want the Dark Depths to follow up with. So I think we get rid of the Chrome Mox, and it's a choice between these 2. I think I'm going to keep the land. So our opponent has to have a Force of Will or Force of Negation style card to stop this little party from happening. Quite the pause here, and we're seeing in the live paying. Is it the Force? They've got a Force. They're just deciding what to do. They're playing the Abhorrent Oculus build, sure. So this is probably the Bosch and Roll build that he top 8'd Eternal Weekend with. It's pretty cool. But now we are somewhat in the gutter. We certainly have a selection of powerful things we can do, but we do need to draw them. Okay, I think we play the Sokenzan here. We are exposing ourselves to a wasteland on our only red source. But the alternative is playing the City of Traitors, and that does not seem good. We could play the Dark Depths, but we want to play the Dark Depths after we get a Blood Moon effect in play. I'm still reeling from that paint around. Got too hypey. Right, still no play for our opponent. This is probably like an end of turn dress down type shenanigans. Alright, they can't be playing Bosch and Roll build, can they? Because the Psychic Frog is banned. So they're probably playing something similar but different. Maybe they got like Bowmasters in that slot. I suspect they are playing black. I could be wrong though. Another blue source. Okay, I don't think they're playing black anymore. Dress down. How many dreadnoughts would you like to throw at my face now, opponent? And the last round, it was a case of my brain not cooperating, and this time it's just going to be our deck not cooperating with us. Like, they had a counter spell for our one thing, but we just don't have a follow. Okay, double dreadnought. So we need to find a removal spell right now to even still be in the game. Well, that's terrifying. We got nothing. Oh dear, oh dear. Like, we did finish with a positive record, and we did get to play that really sweet line where we got the Claws of Gix and actually managed to win a game with it. But a 3-2 with a deck that looks like this, and I don't know if we win that painter matchup if we play differently, but we at least have a shot. So we don't know if our opponent was just clearing the way for their combo or not. So it might have been a case that they could have just comboed us off then, but they decided to do, like, check a few other boxes first because they had to get rid of our Karn. But I think the line there was to play a Magus of the Moon, deploy the Dark Depths, and then... Well, I guess we didn't have the Karn, so they didn't have to attack into the Blood Moon. But maybe they probably would do anyway. But if it's on board, is the problem. It's not a good trick. I don't know. It's going to be very difficult for us to win that game, I think. Because if we don't play the Karn, they have an active One Ring, which is a lot of resources. Their hand was already stacked as well. If they'd have played out the Welder, I would probably have fired off the Fury. And then we would have got done by them playing the Painter on the following turn. I don't know. I'm not sure if we would have won that game. I'm not sure if we did just completely punt it. We obviously made a catastrophic mistake that definitely 100% lost us the game. But we might have lost that game anyway, and it's going to bother me in my brain for a long time. But this deck's performed pretty darn well, I thought. The upgrades we made as to last year did feel good. So Terror of the Peaks was kind of blank, and there's no point having it. So I'm glad we got rid of it. We replaced it with Furies, which feels a lot better, and they were pretty good. We had the Sokenzans, we added it over like a Wasteland and a Ghost Quarter that we had. These felt really good. We put in the Betrayer's Bargain over a couple of Sorcerous Spyglass, and these felt pretty reasonable. It's another way of doing our combo and just a piece of interaction that we can use. So I quite like that. Maybe we're slightly better off if we have the one that can hit Planeswalkers and it has a bargain cost. But the problem with the bargain cost is you can't bargain away a Magus of the Moon. Whereas this one is specifically creature or enchantment. So it does hit both of the card types we're trying to remove of our own. Telim'Tor's Edict, you know, it's fine for what it does. We are obviously playing some cards that are subpar in our deck to make this all work instead of playing like normal stuff. Like this kind of package of cards here is quite a lot of cards. It's about a quarter of our deck that we're running to kind of fuel the fun thing we're doing. But, you know, we did win games because of it, and we had the sweetest Claws of Gix win. So, pretty happy with how the deck performed. The One Ring in the sideboard was very good. We certainly reached for it on multiple occasions. You could argue that the One Ring should be in the main deck. Maybe we start like stripping out things like Sorcerous Spyglass and just going deeper in with the One Ring, and then we can just rely on the Karn to get this sort of effect instead of having it main deck. I think that probably makes some sense. We could even ease off the Telim'Tor's Edict a little bit more and just fit 3 One Rings in the main. I think the bargain is pretty good because it is, like I said, flexible removal. We're putting a lot of mana into play, so the 4 mana for 5 damage isn't the most outlandish thing anyway. So yeah, I think this deck is something that you could genuinely take to some like FNM level tournaments and potentially win. Like last year we got a 4-1, this year we got a 3-1, so what's that, a 7-3 record over 2 leagues? You know, not a terrible feat of Magic the Gathering, especially now that the format's gotten more powerful since I last played this deck, and there's certainly a lot less breathing room to do our stuff. But, you know, we played against really good decks today, and we did, you know, convincingly beat them. So there's something to be said about this deck. Now, I don't think this is going to take the world by storm and become the new best Blood Moon style deck at all. But it's certainly a fun one, and isn't as much of a meme deck as it looks at first glance. All right, thank you so much for joining me on this one. I had an absolute blast until I lost my mind getting too excited in the source, but we did feast well on the source today, and I hope this was a wonderful day in the advent calendar of Depthcember for you. Right, please remember to like and subscribe. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.
If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.